Today, our two passions collide: brand marketing and the sports world.
We are so excited to talk about Cleveland Pro Soccer's newest brand. It's out for the men's team. We'll talk about that in just a second, but make sure you're hitting like, hit subscribe, and call in. Leave us a voicemail. We'll play it on the show, 216-260-3433. We are joined today by Gina Prodan Kelly, the CMO of Cleveland Pro Soccer and co-founder of the women's team. But we're going to talk about the men's team branding because that has been unveiled and I'm so excited. Gina, it's so good to have you on the show again.
I'm so happy to be back and to have a name, a brand, a look to talk about.
We are excited as well. I will say before we get into everything, I love the brand. The colors are fantastic, in my opinion. Eric, I don't know how you feel about it, but I was really excited when this came out. My girlfriend's a former soccer player. She was really excited seeing this. So I think you guys hit a home run with this branding before we get into all the nitty gritty details.
Yeah, I don't disagree there. I'm excited. I can't wait till kits are released, that sort of thing, because I will definitely be buying one. Speaking of, later in the show, we're going to debut our own kits to Gina. Noah and I put something together separately. We haven't really seen one another's, so we're going to debut that, get her thoughts. Who knows? Maybe we'll see it on the field one day too. You never know. But Gina, talk to us. We have an official brand. It's so exciting.
Yes, welcome to Forest City, Cleveland. We launched the brand a couple weeks ago, and it was so it took about a year and a half. We worked with two amazing people on this project, Alex Kosher and Mo Fitzgerald. Alex is a Clevelander. I made him when we did our release list the soccer teams he played as a kid as a kid. But he was also the creative director for the Portland Timbers and the Portland Thorns. When I was approaching developing the brands for both the men's team and the women's team, I was up one night thinking, how on earth do we find someone who understands Cleveland, understands Cleveland sports, but also knows professional soccer, knows women's sports, knows men's sports, just understands the entire ecosystem. And we talked to a lot of different people, but that night that I was up all night thinking about this, the next morning, Alex reached out, just cold reached out and was like, "I'm going to talk about what you guys are doing," and it was like,
That's awesome.
but we did, and then Mo Fitzgerald, who she played for the Portland Thorns, a great brand strategist, runs a company called Play Street, and she's an experiential brand develop expert. They together helped us kind of channel what we wanted to create this, to have this brand become, and helped us really elevate it and get it to where it is today.
So, how exactly did you guys land on the name? I've always thought the Forest City nickname of Cleveland is a very underrated nickname. We don't use it a lot. We lean into the guitar thing a lot. We joked with you about please don't do that with this branding when you came on the show for the first time. So, how did we end up on the Forest City name itself?
So the first thing we did as part of this process was did internal discovery. And Michael Murphy's the co-founder of Cleveland Soccer Group. His one big charge to us was create something that feels like it's always been here. And we wanted something that was modern, that could be generational, but again, that felt like heritage. We started with that, and then we did a series of brand surveys and focus groups, and the name Forest City very consistently showed up. And when we thought about it, we thought of it not only as an opportunity to embrace that, but I think it's a great name. I think it's a great nickname. But not only to embrace that idea of Forest City and that it was something, it was embracing a really a big strength of ours, but it's also an opportunity. We do have an opportunity to increase our canopy and to improve that part of the city. So it was at once reaching back historically and into that heritage part of us, but also like how can we use this to catapult ourselves into a new space and an improved space.
Yeah, it's so exciting to take that heritage exactly like you're saying, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's like the mid 19th century where Forest City kind of evolved from. Breaking down the actual branding. You do a great job of this, first of all, but inspired by different pieces of Cleveland. Talk us through like what went into this crest specifically. You see it here on the screen, but there's so many little factors that I think if somebody's just looking at it, they might miss that I love personally.
Well, we wanted to, so when we did our process started with sketches. So Alex did hand sketches that we did a few different iterations, and ultimately we landed on this tree. When thinking about how to represent for a city, it was like we did explore ideas that did include trees, but ultimately when thinking about what's here, and what reflects the spirit of Cleveland, so it's not just a tree. I mean, trees are amazing, but we came upon the idea of Moses Cleveland trees, and this one in particular. So Moses Cleveland trees are trees that have been identified as being old enough to have been here when Moses Cleveland landed. So for them to have been here, and they'll be at this point a couple hundred years old. This one in particular, which is nicknamed the Die Hard tree, is about, we believe, 350 years old. So that means it's been here for all of Cleveland history and more. This one in particular it's in the Cuyahoga Valley National Park, and it, I believe, was slated to be knocked down or limited in some way. And instead of chopping it down, they put a stick of dynamite in it and blew it up. Instead of dying, it grew back, and it's still here today. And it has like a heart-shaped hole blown out of it. It's still a massive tree that finds new ways to grow. And we thought that was such a beautiful metaphor for not just Cleveland sports fandom, but that general
Fair.
sense of of resilience and being able to face whatever, having witnessed everything and be able to grow and have your own beauty and your way of still shooting up toward the sky. And we wanted that element to be central to it, and we wanted to continue to kind of grow kind of the legend of what this would become. So we wanted to make sure we worked in elements like the 12 leaves, which represent the 11 players on the field. And then that central leaf is a symbol of Cleveland. So the community that makes this whole team what it is. And then, the lower part of the crest is the shape of Ohio. It's just a very subtle shape. It's, not cartography. It's, but it's a hint of that shape. And we really wanted to give it a sense of home that, isn't going to be captured by anyone else.
Yeah, the lower part of the crest is one of my favorite outlines, my favorite parts of the crest here. I don't know about you, Eric, but I didn't realize at first when the logo came out the Ohio tie that was there. And then as I started looking at it before I even saw this graphic with the explanation, it was something that I really liked because I noticed it was kind of Ohio shaped.
Oh, good eye, good eye.
Yeah, and seeing the shoreline there too. Gina, talk to us about how, like, I love what you're talking about, the resiliency as an aspect of the club. How do you see that transferring to fan experience as well?
One thing we don't want it to transfer to is needing to be super resilient. Our objective with this team is to build a legacy maker. We want to create not only a culture around the team, but on the team itself, where we want to win championships. We want to be, similar to all existing pro soccer in Cleveland right now. Our Cleveland Crunch is the team with the most championships. We want to continue with that tradition of soccer being consistently winning, consistently pleasing, but we also want to use. So I think this branding process, one thing that it taught us, the launch of it was a dream. It was wonderful to see the response. And when I talk about it with people, people say, "Were you surprised?" And honestly, we weren't surprised because we talked to about 3,000 people. Not to say that, you don't really make something. You don't make a brand so that you're not pushing yourself far enough if everybody loves it or if it's just good
Right.
and nobody's like stressed out about it in some way. But we talked to a lot of people, and it's not only the way that we've gone about this entire project of just pulling people in and making it part, something that isn't introduced to Cleveland, but is, built with Cleveland. It's something that reinforces that works. And we want to do that as we develop our stadium plan, our game day plan, and as we continue to figure out what it looks and feels like to be a fan of this team.
Speaking of the stadium plan, I know that project has probably been very daunting for you guys. What is going on with the stadium plans as of right now? What do we have to look forward to as Cleveland sports fans, especially myself, who still lives in the downtown area?
Oh, it's still going. As people who have not worked in the building state like public facilities
Right.
realm before, it moves slower than we'd like, but it's still moving. It's just the time in between the steps that you take is longer than normal business. So it's a new experience, and we at the beginning. So our project, in terms of the plans for it and our approach to building the stadium, we were ready to break ground at the beginning of January of 2025, and I feel like anybody who's been following us for a while knows I err on the side of radical transparency. So anything that's not a state secret, I'm game to talk about. So we were ready at the beginning of 2025, and just the process of getting each part, from real estate transactions to having conversations about financing to planning to understanding what kind of retaining walls we need. We were at the beginning of 2025. We're like, if we give ourselves till the end of the year to break ground, like that's so responsible of us. Here we are in April, but it's still moving. We are still planning to play in our stadium in our first season.
Awesome. That's
And
awesome.
speaking of upcoming things, correct me if I'm wrong, but next month is the unveiling of the women's branding and name, correct?
Correct, May 4th.
Can you give us any hints of what we might see on May 4th? Is it Star Wars themed since it's May 4th?
The Cleveland Forest is already taken.
Fair.
But it's what I do have to tell you is that it was wholly inspired by Cleveland. It is not steeped in Cleveland history. So we actually took two concepts through focus groups before we got to this concept. And as I just mentioned, so we took one concept through that I actually loved, but the response was kind of like, it's good, that's fine. And I was like, nope.
Not enough.
Nope, we go back to zero. And we did that until we felt like we hit the right note. And but after the first round, we went back to a number of focus groups and conversations and one-on-one interviews and talked to people about what they wanted this team to make them feel. And as much as some of the early surveys gave us a sense that we're gritty and we're resilient, and we did tie that in I think in a graceful way in Forest City. There was a lot of feedback. They were like, people were sick of feeling gritty and resilient, and they just wanted to the best quote that I feel like I keep repeating to people is one woman said, "I'm so tired of bouncing back. I just want to fly." And it was like, all right,
Fair.
we got so instead of we wanted one of our teams to be equally have a foot in here, to be a heritage brand but also forward looking. This one we want to create our own history, and we want to create this as net new. It certainly has its roots in Cleveland, but it was also inspired by I did a graphic actually in fall of the top 25 college women's teams in Division One, and I believe 13 to 15 of them had women from Northeast Ohio in them, and it was like there was that sense like was the inspiration, one of the inspirations for the name, and that's all I'll give you.
So no Forest City FC, no Cleveland Forest City for the women's team too.
No, we did actually consider. So interestingly, when I started this project, I thought that the women's team was going to be named Forest City. It was just in my head, and one of the fun but challenging parts of this is to consistently remind yourself that you're not the only audience, and
Right.
to provide your input, but also take a step back and and let the information you're provided guide you, and then use across the team working on this the expertise you have to figure out the right answer. And when we thought about Forest City, again, we felt like it was, had that hook into history, and that felt, and again, when we understood the direction we wanted to go with the women, I was like, the women, it's not the right name for the women. But I did actually just have lunch with a wonderful woman named Sophia. We were talking about like one of the big like do not do this pieces of feedback we had was like have there be like men's and women's versions, but more so like lady cardinals or something.
Right.
But we were joking that the only way you can make this work is if the women were like Forest City and the men's was like Forest City Boys.
That's funny.
That's funny.
That is
I almost
really
wish
good.
you had done that, to be very progressive in that. I gotta say, I'm so excited to see that launch on May 4th. My wallet is not excited for either because we're gonna have to be repping all the merch from both brands, which I think we're both equally excited for.
We wanted to be mindful when creating the merch, and you may or may not notice. So we do have like our primary, our first collection, is a couple of shirts that I think are very brand forward, brand strong. But we wanted to make sure that we had obviously like the full brand, full color experience of the crest tee that we have. But we wanted to be mindful about offering something that would be accessible, and that's our green tee. It's a single color front only shirt, and we wanted to make sure that different budgets fit this. So we are keeping that in mind, although we do appreciate you emptying your bank account for us.
As you
That
as you should.
that will happen. I will say, like you had mentioned on the last show, the Hearts of Pine team up in Portland, Maine, and what they do with their. I've already bought a kit from them because they do such a good job. So I'm looking forward to it. My closet doesn't have much space left, but we'll see. That said, speaking of kits, Noah and I put together our own versions for Forest City, and we wanted to get your takes. We're not going to make it a competition where you say whose is better or anything like that, but we wanted to debut our kits to you. We haven't seen one another's and get your reaction.
I can't, and if one is better, I'll let you know.
Okay, fair.
Awesome. Awesome. Am I going first, Eric? Do you want me to do it in
Yeah.
the order that it's in the queue? Okay. Of course you do. Of course you do. Let me rip the Band-Aid off and let's get into it. So this is the kit I came up with. We have an all-over leaf pattern on the jersey itself, simple shorts. An idea I had, because I hadn't seen it a ton, was having the logo on the socks as well, because I really like that FC Clee logo that you guys have going on, and I didn't really know where I should put it. I guess I could have put it on the shorts, but I used the socks as a way to put the logo out there. And here is, of course, an example of it on a player. That's what I put together. Eric, what did you put together?
Well, first of all, Noah, I love what you put together. This is the first time I'm seeing it, and I like this a lot. I like the pattern. So I went a little more traditional with a sponsor on it. So I picked one of the more iconic sponsors that we could potentially have in the Cleveland area, which is, of course, the Cleveland Clinic. But the kit that I put together is really rooted in exactly what you're saying, which is our history, our town. So if you look closely, you'll see that it's actually the map of Cleveland that is printed there as part of the shirt design. So I kept it really simple, but I wanted to incorporate that map and then just simple shorts and socks to go with it, but really bringing Cleveland as a location kind of into it.
All right, our work is done. I love both of these. Great job. I love that. I really I like the I'm trying to figure out where to start. The first, thank you for tying in the FC CLE monogram. That's one, I feel like one of the understated part of this brand. Let me tell you about the moment we realized that Forest City Cleveland was FC Cleveland. One of when we did our surveys, there was like a clear split when we collected names, we vetted names, we narrowed down from hundreds of names, and when we did a survey, like the top pick was Forest City, the second pick pretty universally was FC Cleveland, and we put those both in there as first and second pick just to see. I mean, obviously, if it went a different direction, we would have done focus groups to understand that direction. But we very quickly understood that those two were the leaders. And Alex, the one day, was like, because I think we were originally I wanted Cleveland in the name because I feel like Cleveland sports teams need Cleveland in the name.
100%.
And he was like, Cleveland Forest City, we were like, it's kind of clunky. And he was like, if you flip it around, it's FC Cleveland. And we were like, done. But we loved the idea of having the monogram, especially as like a secondary identity element. So I love the way you work that into the sock, which I have not seen. I have not seen any brand elements really worked into socks, and maybe I'm just not paying attention to socks. But I like the color. I love green is my favorite color. I don't look great in it, so it's gonna be a problem in my life. But it's a beautiful color, and I like the green and the pattern. And Erik, the map. I mean, it's what a great idea, and I love just like the flexibility of what you could do with that. And I am probably going to ask for a copy of that when we, pitched Cleveland Clinic, hint, hint, Cleveland Clinic on a front of kit sponsorship.
Yeah, it looks good with their branding. I gotta say, I was looking at, what are the biggest businesses in Cleveland, and or Ohio in general, and we see the Progressive constantly, we see the Sherwin-Williams, but you don't see Cleveland Clinic a ton, which is weird, because they play such a big part in everyone's lives in Cleveland. But yeah, that I'm excited to hear that you're excited about both of our designs, and who knows, maybe we can have a home version and a away version. We'll just tweak a white one in there, and we're
Well,
set.
that's what I thought. I was like, yeah, well, let's go with these. These are, we've also explored ideas, which I think I don't remember if I mentioned last time, but we love the opportunity to work with certain paint-related businesses in the greater Cleveland area, and we thought that like a color of the year third kit would be a
That's
fun
awesome.
activation. So I'm curious to know, like, what types of activations as marketers would you see as valuable for both the team and for brands?
Erik, you want to grab it first because now I'm pondering.
Yeah, it's a good question, putting us on the spot, which I like because we've been doing that to you. Activations for the brand. First of all, I'm a huge fan. I'm a soccer fan, Chelsea till I die. But I love the third kit in general, because it's a chance for teams, and for those not familiar with soccer, it's a chance for teams to just go out there. Like, it could be pink, it could be yellow, like it's completely off brand usually. And again, normally hurts your wallet because you see it and you go, oh my gosh, that's awesome. It sounds like, though, Gina, and quick question before I answer your question, it sounds like we're going to have like a main kit almost year to year, whereas like in European soccer, they change the kits yearly. They're small tweaks usually, but you get a new home, away, and third every single year. It sounds like I'm hearing that might not be the case here.
Oh no, that's something we'll talk to people about. If we want, I don't. So it's like on one hand, like if we make a kit design that like nails it, why ruin a good thing? But I think it would be great to involve the community in that, and see how much having one kit for years to come is the right experience. And, or, is there an opportunity to lean into third kit as the update each year?
That's kind of the way I look at it, is like the idea. It's like the city connector, the city edition you see the Cavs or
Yeah.
the Guardians do. You get to have a fun third idea that's completely different than your norm. And that's how you kind of, bring in a new brand identity, a new idea, but also be able to switch it up and try different things. And maybe one's a hit, and that's the direction you go with the other kits moving forward. That's what I've always kind of liked about those ideas from the major leagues. I wish the NFL would adapt it a little bit more than just kind of rotating between the same four jerseys, but time will tell if that'll come through.
That's really interesting. I feel like that's a smart approach, like iterating basically on your kit and like using this third kit as your experiment and what works, what doesn't. Also, it's lower risk because it's, at most a season.
Right, 100%.
To answer your original question, brand activations for potential new kits. The only idea that I had that I thought could be cool because it ties in with Forest City is somehow connecting with the park system to do some sort of like scavenger hunt where maybe you're giving away a couple of the kits and they're hidden along the trails somewhere, or the scarves, or etc. So you can kind of get people excited and involved. And then of course, like relying heavily on user content, like let's see these this branding in these kits around the city. There's so many iconic places like the market, or I mean there's so many around town.
Tower City,
um,
any of it, yeah.
yeah, I want to see people wearing it as part of it. And I think we talked about this last time. This isn't really a brand activation, but having a march to the matches. It's something I really liked when I was in London watching matches. Seattle does a really good job of it. But actually having fans get together pre-match and march to the stadium, it's such a cool experience. But that's what I have. Nothing too special.
Well, as we get closer to our first game at that stadium, diagonally across the street from Progressive Field, whenever we think about it, and I may have described this in the past, but the march to the match will go under the overpass, and when you walk under there, it's really hard, especially now, like not to just like shout a little bit to hear like the reverberation, and just imagining what that will sound like with a lot of people really excited for soccer. It's chills.
There's
And
another guy out there, real quick, Noah, named MGK. Maybe he can come up with some of the chants and get him excited about it. Some family-friendly chants, MGK, if you're watching.
We are open to all chant creators. We were just in the St. Patrick's Day parade. It was 17 degrees, and we had about 100 people show up to march in the parade with us. And our theme was basically a march to the match. So we had flags, we had shirts, there were some chants along the way, and there were some really creative ideas for how to kind of build the spirit of this team.
That's awesome. To add to Erik and the question you asked us about brand activation, Erik, you spoke a little bit about, the Cleveland roots. We talked about the market. I threw out Tower City or whatever, but I feel like the Cleveland area and the people who claim Cleveland as their own is super large, right? It's all of Northeast Ohio. And I think of that coming from Ashtabula, where I grew up an hour away, and I grew up a diehard Cleveland fan. Now I live downtown because of that. Reaching out to some of those places as well with brand activations, I think could really draw interest in terms of bringing people who maybe aren't thinking about coming downtown for a weekend to come downtown, check out a match, then go get a slice of pizza at this place and all of that, and really help, what you guys have going on and what we're trying to grow here in Cleveland overall as well.
Well, you have absolutely captured one of the many things that we think we have the responsibility and opportunity to do. The stadium, between our two teams and the other events, our estimates are that we'll bring about 400,000 fans downtown to attend games, not counting people who may just go out to watch games at local businesses.
Right.
But that's the opportunity in this, and especially especially for our teams that will play during the summer and times of year when, the cab, when we don't have multiple teams existing, playing. There are a lot of open nights to just bring more people downtown, and that begets more business, that begets more people, and we start to get closer to having some of the density, the traffic, the things that we want. Traffic in terms of like foot traffic, not like car traffic,
Right.
but like the people that we want to create, to bring some of the energy downtown, and we do think that like that is part of our responsibility as a business downtown, is to help all the other businesses bring energy, bring additional energy and continue to build on that for downtown. So you're spot on, and that's exactly what we want to help create.
I know that I am so excited for both of these brands. I can't wait till May 4th now. But Gina, it was so nice having you on once again. We call you a friend of the show now. I think twice you earned that nickname, but
Oh,
it was such a pleasure, and we're so happy that you could be on with us today.
thank you. I hope you'll have me on again like later this spring.
We would love to,
Definitely.
especially when that woman's brand comes out,
Yep.
because I'm excited with all the hints that you dropped there when Eric asked that question as to what it could potentially be. And I would assume anybody listening to this is eager and waiting to hear what comes out on May 4th as well.
Okay, I'm daring you and anybody else to write down your guesses now. Take a picture, and if without cheating you get it right, I will give you a prize.
Put it in
Okay.
our comment section and we will plug it over to Gina. Thank you for the plug to our comment section, Gina. We really appreciate that.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you. We'll
you.
talk soon.
Noah, I gotta say, I am so excited. Like I said, my wallet is not, but I can't wait till kits are released. I can't wait. I got to get a scarf order in soon, but I know you and I will be pitch side. I'm gonna get you into soccer one way or another, and I think this is the way to do it.
It is
Um,
indeed. When you attach the Cleveland name to anything, I'm sold on it automatically and I am running to whatever stadium it is. It could be badminton. I don't care. I'm in. I'm ready for it. Let's go, Cleveland.
you heard it here first. Noah is officially a soccer fan. The debate never ends, but the show does for now. We'll see you next time.